Okay, here we go. Medians and altitudes is what we're working on today. Aisha wrote the following explanation of the relationship of this triangle. She said, I can see that angle TVY and YVU are congruent. She said that. She said that VUX and TUX are congruent, and UTZ and VTZ are congruent. So then these must be congruent. Why is it not correct? Well, do we know that this angle is congruent to this angle? No, we don't. Okay, it doesn't say that. So what we have here, what is in that, are called medians. A median of a triangle is a segment that goes from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Okay? And what happens is this angle and this angle aren't always the same. So if they're not the same, because if they would be the same, they would each be 90 degrees. But these are not the same, so these are not the same. So she was incorrect in saying what she said. Okay? So you have to know the difference between a median and an altitude here. Does everybody have the vocab written down? Right? We're good? Okay. So an altitude is right here. It goes from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. Now, this is an obtuse triangle, so you can't be inside the triangle when you draw two of the altitudes. Okay? So you have to extend the one side. BD, if that goes to the midpoint of the opposite side, then that's a median. Sometimes medians and altitudes are the same line. Okay? Sometimes they are not. Okay? So, now, medians. When three medians meet in a triangle, they cut each other proportionally. Okay? The long part is 2/3 of the whole thing. The short part is 1/3 of the whole thing. So the long part of a centroid, which is the median cut apart, okay, the centroid is actually this point right here in blue. That's a centroid. And what the centroid does is it cuts this off 2/3 of the whole thing and this off 1/3 of the whole thing. How do 2/3 and 1/3 compare to each other? 2/3 is what of 1/3? 2 times of 1/3. So this is twice as long as this. Okay? So let's say that CF here, from C to F, let's say that's 9 long. What's 1/3 of 9? 3. So that would make CG how long? 6. See how 6 plus 3 is 9. The 3 is 1/3 of 9. 6 is 2/3 of 9. And 6 is twice as long as 3. So, if this short one was 8, if this was 8 here, how long would this one be? 16, because the short one is half as long as the long one. The long one is twice as long as the short one. So if this is 8, this is 16. What do 8 and 16 add up to? 24. Is 8 1/3 of 24? Yes, and 16 is 2/3 of 24. Let's say they give us a long one. Let's say they give us the long one is 10. The long one is 10. How short is the short one? 5. The short one is 5, and the long one's 10. How long's the whole thing? 15. Okay? Are we good with that? Okay, that's dealing with centroids and medians. So, when a line goes from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side, how do you know n's a midpoint? Because these two are equal to each other. Okay? So if this part, the long part is 18, how long is the short part? 9. QN is 9. So how long is JN? Well, you have to add those up, so that makes 27. Okay? Now, this only happens with medians. This doesn't happen with altitudes. So, the centroid is like the balancing point. It's a balancing point. So if you put a triangle on top of a pointed object here, to get it to balance, you have to put it right on the centroid, which is the center of gravity. Okay? So this dude has to find where the center of gravity is. Well, if he just draws the medians of the three sides, you can find the centroid, which is the center of gravity. Okay, here's a right triangle with lengths of 15, 20, and 25. Where's the centroid going to be? Okay, well, yeah, it's obviously at P. Okay. Oh, I guess it wasn't asking me a question, I guess. Because if this is 10, this is 10. So you draw it there. This is 7.5. This is 7.5. You draw it there, and yeah. So that wasn't really asking a question. Okay, the altitudes all meet in one spot too. It's called the orthocenter. So the point of concurrency of the three altitudes is the orthocenter. So here's a triangle. The black triangle is an obtuse triangle. Now, if I draw the altitude from here down to here, it's right here. If I draw the altitude from this corner to the opposite side, I have to extend the opposite side a little further. And if I have to draw the altitude from this point to this opposite side, I have to extend this opposite side a little further. Now, if you extend those lines further till they all meet, where's the orthocenter for an obtuse triangle? Outside. Okay? So for an obtuse triangle, it's outside, just like a circumcenter was outside. An orthocenter will be outside as well. Okay? An orthocenter, where the three altitudes meet. So if I go from this point perpendicular to the opposite side, it's right on the right angle. If I go from this point perpendicular to the opposite side, it's right on the right angle. If I go perpendicular to this side, they all three meet. The orthocenter is at the right angle. So for a right triangle, it's on the right angle. Okay, so it's on the triangle. For an orthocenter, for an obtuse triangle, it's outside. And for an acute triangle, it's inside. Okay, it's inside. So now we're supposed to find the orthocenter. So we have to draw the altitudes. So I have to find a way to go perpendicular to the opposite side. To figure out perpendicular, I got to know slope. What's the slope from K to L? I go to the right 15 and up 5. Slope is rise over run. How far did I rise? The slope was 5 over 10, which is 1/2. Okay? If I want to go perpendicular to 1/2, the slope perpendicular to 1/2 would be -2 over 1. Are we all right with that? -2 over 1. So if I go from M and go -2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Here's going to be my altitude. Okay, I've got one altitude drawn. Now I'm going to draw another one. So I got to find the slope of these two. What's my rise from 5 to 12? What's my run from 3 to 10? 7, right? But since I'm going down, my slope is negative, so my slope is -1. If I want to go perpendicular to that, what's the reciprocal of 1? 1. And what's the opposite sign? +1. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. I'm going to draw my altitude. And where do they meet? Well, they meet right there at 6, 6. Okay? So you just find the slope of the opposite side, do the perpendicular to that slope, and then draw from the opposite corner. And then you can find where the orthocenter is. Let's do that one more time now. Okay? What's the slope of this short line there? You have a rise of what from 0 to 4? 4. And you run 6, but you're going down, so it's negative. So it's negative 2/3. So what's the slope of the perpendicular for that line? What's the opposite reciprocal of negative 2/3? 3/2. So I have to, since this is the alignment I'm talking about, I have to start from the opposite vertex. So I go down 3 to the right 2. And I'm right there. See how every point goes 2? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my first point was at 11:15. So if I go down 3, oops, I'm in the wrong spot. If I'm at 11:15, I should be at right here, 9:12. And then go down 1.5 and over here. So there I'm at 9:07. Down to there, over to there. Okay, and then down, over. So there's one altitude. Now, let's find the altitude of this side. Well, let's find the slope of this side. I'm going to go a different color so we can tell easier what's going on. So let me go purple. So this side, my rise is from 4 to 15 is 11. My run to the right, 0 to 11 is 11. So what's 11 over 11, Tyler? 1. So my slope of this line is 1. So the slope of the perpendicular line would be -1. So I start from the vertex, and I want to go a slope of a negative. Wait, that's this line. So I start from here and go a slope of -1. So I'm going to go up 2 over 2. Up 2 over 2. So I'm going to cross about right here where this last point is here. So it's over 3 and up 3. So the point would be at 3, 3. You won't have one exactly like that, okay? Because it's a little hard. If they spaced them out bigger, it would be easier, but they didn't on this one. So yeah, if they go by 2s, then it makes it really hard. If you go 1 square for 1, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so that's your first assignment over medians and altitude.